What's up, guys? Welcome to my first ever live stream post fight. If you guys like these, I'll do them in the future more. This is the first time I'm doing it live. Usually, I just record the video and then upload it after the fact, but that takes longer to get up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the fights, give my reaction to it. You guys can fill the chat with any questions you want. And after I get done going through all the fights, I will read through all the chat and see what you guys are saying and see what questions you guys have. Do me a favor, if you guys are here already, make sure to like the stream. I greatly appreciate it. First time watching my channel, make sure you go subscribe and turn on notifications. I greatly appreciate it. And we literally could have a 3-hour post fight tonight. There is so much stuff that happened tonight. The card was bizarre. I just literally there's literally so much stuff that went on tonight. Obviously, first we're gonna start talking about Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. And don't get me wrong, this was an amazing fight from the perspective of the fact that there was multiple momentum swings. There was a high skill level shown from both guys, whether it be Volkanovski and Ortega. It was exciting, but was it super competitive? The UFC commentators made a comment right before the decision was read, and it said, this may not be the final time that we see these guys fight. And I thought that was strange. I thought like people were acting as if it was as competitive as Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. Don't get me wrong, Ortega had his moments. But for all intents and purposes, minus those submission attempts and a few punches in the 5th round, Volkanovski put on an absolute masterclass performance. He dominated Brian Ortega from start to finish. And, he looked incredible tonight. And, it's not like I want to sit here and brag at all, but my predictions for this fight card were spot on. Were literally spot on. The only prediction I got wrong was Marlon Moraes. All my other predictions were correct. All my methods were correct except the main event. I had Volkanovski winning by 3rd or 4th round stoppage. I can't remember. But Volkanovski went out there and did exactly what he needed to do, and he just showed the caliber of fighter he is. He is quickly becoming potentially the greatest of all time in the featherweight division. A win over Chad Mendes when Chad Mendes was really good. 2 wins over Max Holloway. A 3-round win over Jose Aldo. And now a win over Brian Ortega. His next fight is probably going to be Max Holloway again, or maybe Yair Rodriguez, or maybe even Giga Chikadze. Volkanovski just showed tonight. He went out there, and the first 2 rounds were competitive, but they were dominant wins for Volkanovski in those rounds. And what I mean by that is Volkanovski didn't run away with it, but he clearly outstruck Brian Ortega. He snaps that inside leg kick over and over and over again. And Brian Ortega, and what I mentioned about Volkanovski in my pre-fight is his leg kicks, they don't look like Edson Barboza's. He's not winding up and just snapping them really hard, but they do damage, even though I don't know what he does, but his leg kicks are just insanity, and they do damage. He had Ortega switching stances in the 1st round. He landed multiple combinations. He hurt Ortega multiple times. And the first 2 rounds were just, as soon as I saw those first 2 rounds, I said, okay, Volkanovski's got this. And I really thought the accumulated damage from Volkanovski would eventually help him then finish him in the later rounds, because I know the gas tank that Volkanovski has. The 3rd round, let's talk about the 3rd round, because the 3rd round of this main event, if you take away this 3rd round of this main event, and this fight might as well be Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar, and I know that sounds crazy, but without those crazy momentum swings in that 3rd round, this was really just a one-sided beating. Ortega had some moments in the 5th round, but I still scored this fight 50-44. I think the 3rd round was a 10-8. I know that sounds crazy because Ortega almost had 2 submissions. But no matter what, I thought one of those rounds was a 10-8. I think it was the 3rd round that I thought. And I thought Volkanovski clearly won every round. The only round that could potentially be up for debate was the 5th round. And I think what happened with the 5th round was Volkanovski had put out so much output. he had thrown so many strikes that he started to actually fade a little bit. It's not really a indictment on his cardio. He just had went for the finish so many times. And let's talk about the third round. I want to get to that before I accidentally skip over it. Volkanovski's just lighting him up on the feet. Ortega, I think he landed a jab, and then Volkanovski was off balance, fell down. And I said the path to victory for Brian Ortega in this fight was to hurt Volkanovski, drop him, and end up in a scramble and grab a submission. And that's exactly what happened here. And Volkanovski, I mean, he just showed time and time again, he is a well-rounded, world-class fighter. And the fact that he fought out of that guillotine was super tight. He drops Volkanovski, jumps into the full mount, snatches up the guillotine before Volkanovski can even think twice. I mean, Brian Ortega comes close to Charles Oliveira in the ability to snatch up submissions so quick before you can even think straight. You know, he just grabs him out of nowhere. And that guillotine was so tight that at one point I thought Volkanovski may go out. His head was starting to change colors. He was slamming his feet. If you guys remember Merab Dvalishvili versus Ricky Simone, it was similar to that position. And he was slamming his feet, trying to wiggle out. Somehow he finds his way out. And I was shocked. Alexander Volkanovski decides to stay on the ground with him. Ortega locks up a triangle, a tight triangle. Volkanovski rolls to his back to get out of it. And then somehow Volkanovski goes from almost getting submitted twice to landing some of the most brutal ground and pound I've ever seen in my entire life. I can't believe it. And I honestly would have had absolutely no trouble with Herb Dean stopping the fight at that point in time, because the ground and pound towards the end of that third round was so brutal and so vicious that I honestly believe that Ortega was eating so much, and his head was flat against the mat, and his head was absorbing the ground and pound. Volk had him completely stacked and was just throwing his full weight in it, and Ortega's head wasn't even able to snap back to release some of that energy. It was just flat against the canvas, just getting pounded over and over and over again. But every time Herb Dean started to get close, Ortega was just trying to roll or throw a punch from the bottom. Somehow he survives the third round. They go out in the fourth round. I thought there might be a doctor stoppage in between rounds. The doctor was looking at him really close. The referee was looking at him really close. And somehow he continues. They ask him, how many fingers am I closing up? I mean, his face was just completely bruised and battered. Goes into the fourth round. And Volk released a lot of energy towards the end of that third round. And somehow Ortega comes out and doesn't get finished immediately in that fourth round. Because I thought, okay, Volkanovski's going to trot right out, brutalize him and finish. Volkanovski more of the same, landing some leg kicks. Ortega was catching some of them and countering them. Also, Volkanovski, his leg kicks were having such an effect on Ortega. Even if he was feinting the leg kicks, Ortega was having massive reactions. And I just can't applaud the output of Volkanovski enough. I mean, the output, I can't, I usually don't care too much about statistics, but I wonder how many punches he threw in that fight or how many strikes he threw in that fight. And in the fourth round, it was more of the same, clipping him up, beating him up. And then at the end of the fourth round, I said, okay, his corner's going to stop it. And I know people are going to look at the fifth round and they're going to say, well, his corner, the ref, and the doctor were right in not stopping the fight. I truly believe, and I want to know your guys' opinion. Again, fill the chat with any questions or comments you have. As soon as I'm done going through the fights, at the end of this post-fight, I'm going to read through the entire chat. If you guys want to support the channel, make sure to like the video. You guys can become members of the channel. The link is in the description as well. You can also send super chat donations now that I'm monetized. I'd appreciate it very much. But in that fourth round, Volkanovski just put some more, just a beating on him. And, I thought it was really close to getting stopped again. And it would have been really ironic because the Max Holloway fight a couple years ago, Brian Ortega fought for the belt against Max Holloway. It was a doctor stoppage at the end of the fourth round. I said, okay, history is about to repeat itself. But sure enough, it goes to the fifth round. And I can't remember if it was in the fourth round or the fifth round. The fight was so crazy. I literally, all the rounds come together now. But I think it was in the fifth round when Volkanovski started playing around on the ground with him again. And I could not believe Volkanovski leading into this fight had perpetually said that I'm confident in my jiu-jitsu. I'm confident in my ground game. I'm confident anywhere this fight goes. And he showed it tonight. And it was one of those things where I think a lot of people were saying, get out of there. Get out. And he just kept playing that game. And in the third round, obviously he came close to getting caught in that triangle. There was at one point, I don't even remember when it was, Brian Ortega almost got a Darce choke. And it was just a wild, wild fight. The fifth round, Volkanovski was extremely fatigued for your typical Volkanovski just because of the output that he usually puts out and he put out in this fight. And Ortega started to land some strikes now because Volkanovski's stamina really started to drain just because the output he put out, guys don't put out in a 10-round fight, honestly. That's how many punches, kicks, and strikes he threw in that fight. And Ortega had some answers in that fifth round. But I don't think that means that it was the right decision. I don't want to sit here and be a chronic complainer, but I truly believe Ortega after that fourth round, or even after the third round, but definitely after the fourth, he had less than 1% chance of winning that fight. And he's a young guy. He's already taken significant damage in that Max Holloway fight a couple years back. Why put him back out there? It's the job of the referee, it's the job of the doctor, and it's the job of the cornermen to protect your fighter. And if you have no chance to win a fight, what's the point of sending you back out there for more damage? And I really believe, even though because of the fifth round, people are going to say, oh, I'm wrong or whatever, but I truly believe that it probably should have been stopped in that fourth round, at the end of that fourth round. So you look at the fight, and Volkanovski, who I can't wait to see. Volkanovski does not get enough respect. To have the wins over the quality of guys that he has wins over is just incredible. And to beat Brian Ortega. And Brian Ortega has been much improved since that Max Holloway loss a few years back, what he did to Korean Zombie. To dominate him like that. This was not a competitive fight, okay? I want you guys to tell me in the chat, was this a dominant fight? Because in my opinion, this was, competitive. This was not a competitive fight. There was competitive moments. There was those scrambles, but you take out those scrambles, and this was a world-class 5-round beatdown by Volkanovski. So that's really my thoughts on that. Volkanovski showed his striking is superior. His grappling is good enough to hold up and avoid the submission. His cardio is just insanity. Top-tier cardio, top 3 cardio in the UFC. His fight IQ is incredible. His leg kicks are amazing. His ability to make adjustments are amazing. And Ortega's best moments in this fight, other than the submissions, I wanted to mention this as well, were his leg kicks. He landed some hard leg kicks. But this fight, was just domination from Volkanovski. And again, I want to go back to that comment before I move on to any other fights. I want to move back to that comment that was said. They were acting, oh, this was an amazing fight. And don't get me wrong, I love this fight because of the momentum swings. It made it super exciting. On top of the fact that Volkanovski was going for the kill at almost every point in the fight. But I don't have any desire to see these guys fight again. I know who's the better fighter. And it's pretty clear that he is substantially better than Brian Ortega. And for them to act like this was and I know the commentators in the moment, and maybe I was watching it live, maybe I was doing a live stream, maybe I would say something that I didn't really mean. But to act like this was a John Jones-Gustafsson fight, one, or a Joanna Jędrzejczyk-Weili Zhang fight, those are highly competitive fights, back and forth fights. This was a one-sided beatdown with some scrambles and some moments from another fighter where he occasionally showed flashes of, brilliance. That's really it. But if you selectively edit out about 35 seconds of that fight, everything else is one-sided beatdown from Alexander Volkanovski. And I just don't see how anybody sees otherwise. And I have a couple hot takes on this card because and that's another reason I started this channel, is because I believe there's some things that people are afraid to say, or maybe they're blinded by something and they don't say it because, I don't know, they just don't feel like it's a popular opinion. I'm giving you my honest thoughts, regardless if it's popular or not. You guys can disagree with me, and I love to hear that. I love to have educated discussion about MMA. But I feel like some people just aren't saying that. That was not a competitive fight. That was a brutal beatdown. I'm scared for Ortega's health. I'm scared for his future. I feel like this took years off his life. And again, I get this is cage fighting, but he got absolutely demolished at the end of the third round, and he took even more damage in the fourth round. And for what? If they would have stopped it at the end of the third round, would you guys have felt empty? Would you guys have felt like you didn't get to see who was the better fighter? Because I wouldn't have. So I don't want to complain too much about that. One thing I do want to mention before I move on to the co-main event is Volkanovski again. I talked about his fight IQ. I talked about his abilities. He's such an elite fighter. The way he selectively decides whether or not to go in for the kill or not is just something to behold. There was some times where he clipped Ortega, but Ortega's one of those guys that likes to get it back right away. And Volkanovski decided, and he made smart decisions, when to kind of charge in and look for a finish and when not to. And he really just showed his fight IQ there. I was so happy to see that. There was times that he really rocked Ortega and he went after him. And there was times where he clipped him up, where he kind of stung him a little bit, but he didn't rush in. Ortega's super dangerous. And my last thought about this fight, Ortega is so tough. And I feel like a narrative coming out of this fight, there's going to be one line that's constantly said, and that's going to be, Ortega is too tough for his own good. He took so much damage tonight. There is no quitting him. He had multiple opportunities to quit in this fight. The doctors gave him outs, kind of. Herb kind of gave him outs. They were really looking at him. He was busted up. His eye was closing. And he showed no willingness to get out of that fight. You know, other guys, and we'll talk about that on this card, would look for a way out when they're losing a fight. And that pains me to say, and we'll get to that a little bit later here. But there's other guys, there's lesser fighters that would take the amount of damage that Ortega took tonight, and they would quit. They would look for a way out. And I've talked about that. If you guys follow my channel, you've heard me say it many times. There is certain guys that are of a different mindset. And when they start to lose, they pack it in. And Ortega's not one of those guys. He was looking for the kill, even after he looked literally like the Walking Dead in the fifth round. He was still looking to finish Volkanovski. And Volkanovski in that fifth round knows he's up 4 rounds to none, probably a 10-8 in one of the rounds, and he was still fighting to finish. So I got to applaud him for that. Hell of a main event as far as, you know, momentum swings. I love the fight, and I can't wait to see Volkanovski's future because I think he's well on his way to becoming the greatest featherweight of all time. I mean, look at the resume. And I can't wait. He's going to take some time off. He probably won't fight till next year. We'll probably see him fight the winner of Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. And I think Max Holloway is probably going to win that fight. But let's move on to the co-main event. Before I get to talking about the co-main event, and I don't feel like there's much to say about the co-main event, even though it went 4 rounds. Do me a favor. If you guys are watching my channel for the first time, make sure you go subscribe and make sure you turn on notifications. I greatly appreciate it. And also, guys, I want you to let me know in the chat. Are these live stream post-fights something you want to see in the future? Is this something you guys enjoy? Because usually I record the videos and post them later. But if you guys prefer the live stream after the fights, I would gladly do that for you guys. So you guys have to let me know if this is something you want. I'll probably do it mainly for the bigger fight cards. But you guys have to let me know. Whatever you guys want, I will do. So let's talk about the co-main event. Valentina Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy. And I don't really feel like there's much to say about this fight. As sad as I am to say that, I feel like Lauren Murphy is who we thought she was. Valentina Shevchenko, I picked her via second round TKO or KO. I thought, Valentina does like to feel out fighters. She likes to get a feel for him before she really goes for the kill. I jokingly tweeted out, and by the way, guys, if you don't already, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram at MMAJoeyC. I tweeted out that I think someone in Valentina's family had a massive bet for 4th round TKO for her. And that's why she was doing that, because she was outclassing her. She was kicking her legs. She was jabbing her face off. She was landing at will. Everything she was throwing was landing on Lauren Murphy. And again, and you guys hear me say this all the time, the main narrative coming into this fight is Lauren Murphy is tough. She's durable. And when you're known as being tough and durable, what that's code word for is you take a lot of ass whoopings. And that's exactly what happened to Lauren Murphy tonight. She took an ass whooping. 4th round, Valentina lands on her, hurts her, follows up, beats her up against the fence. She eventually falls to the ground, and Valentina just brutalizes her on the ground. Eventually the referee steps in. And this just goes to show that Valentina is just so many steps ahead of the competition at women's flyweight. there's not enough competition for her. It just doesn't exist. And I want to see her fight Amanda Nunes next if Amanda Nunes beats Juliana Pena, which I'm pretty confident that she will. But I would have liked to see, I don't want to be the chronic complainer tonight. I hate being a complainer. I enjoyed tonight's fights. I wanted to see Valentina a little bit more aggressive tonight. I felt like she could have finished Lauren Murphy at any point in time. Lauren Murphy just not the superior striker, not the superior grappler or wrestler, not the stronger girl. Was swinging out a lot of air. At some point in time, it looked like she was trying to shoo flies away from her face. It looked like she was doing a whole lot of swinging and hitting that air. At one point in time, Murphy did like a weird foot stomp. It looked like I said, what's she doing? Did she just see a bug on the mat? She's trying to stomp on a bug. Laura Murphy did not belong in there with her tonight. And I believe that Valentina Shevchenko should have finished her early. But I think this is a victim of Valentina's success because she looks so good when she doesn't go out there and absolutely demolish someone. It's almost like you're let down a little bit. And I think that's kind of what happened with this fight. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Valentina finishes her. Another great performance for her. Not particularly exciting. The finish, the fourth round was fun, But I just feel like it was a lot of waiting. It was a lot of, just kind of, beating her up here, jab there, right hand there, leg kick here. It was a masterful performance. I mean, she outstruck her. She just put on a world-class beating. But, I feel like she could have done more. So let's move on to the feature fight on the card because I believe this is what everybody wants to hear about. Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. And I really want to hear your guys' opinions about this. And if you're watching this replay of the post-fight for UFC 266, I want you guys to comment on this and let me know what you think as well. Because watching this fight, I felt incredibly weird. Nick Diaz looked slower than his shadow boxing. Robbie Lawler was fighting very strange. Robbie Lawler looked like he came out to run over Nick Diaz. And I'm a massive Robbie Lawler fan. I'm a massive Nick Diaz fan. But, I mean, this looked like what it was, really. Two guys out of their prime, signed up to fight as a nostalgic, like hardcore MMA fans' dream. And while it was exciting, it was a very strange vibe to me. And basically the first round, the way I saw it was Robbie Lawler came out there. He pressed Nick, beat him up against the fence. Nick was kind of pulling out with some jabs, landing some strikes. Robbie was shelling up, rolling with all the punches, occasionally getting clipped up. But it was just so bizarre. I mean, I can't describe it. It was like Nick looked like he was in slow motion. And I felt really bad. I don't know if it's the time off or what. I know there'll be a million excuses by the Nick Diaz cult. And again, I love Nick Diaz. I have his autographed bobblehead sitting behind me. I love Nick Diaz. I love the Diaz brothers. This was an embarrassment. And I may lose some subscribers for this because Nick Diaz has a cult-like following. Nick Diaz embarrassed the Diaz brothers' names tonight. And I will be the only one saying that. You will not hear anybody else say that because I'm honest. I tell you guys the legitimate truth, how I feel, my opinion. I'm curious of your guys as well. But second round, more of the same. Lawler pressing forward, landing some strikes, backing Nick up. Nick looked slow as hell. And it was just, it was a weird fight because Nick didn't look good, but Robbie Lawler didn't look particularly good either. I mean, he was swinging, he was, rolling with a lot of punches, but he was getting clipped up a little bit too. And I feel like a lot of his punches were, I don't know, like half power or something like that. I don't really even know how to describe Robbie Lawler's punches. But let's get to the finish because that's what I feel like most of you guys want to hear about. Because Robbie Lawler finally landed, I think it was a right hand. I don't remember. I think it was a right hook. And then Nick dropped down to one knee. Robbie landed an uppercut. And then Nick went to his back and Robbie Lawler waved him up, backed off. He said, you know what? I don't want none of this. I'm getting the better of the feet. He was slamming leg kicks all night. Nick's leg was busted up. And he waved him up. And Nick, I don't even think was rocked, but he took some two hard punches. It was a right hook followed by the left uppercut. And the referee said, okay, got in between them. Okay, get up. Nick said, nah, I'm done. Okay, the referee waves it off. Nick kind of reached for his leg. At first, I thought maybe he had a leg injury or a knee injury. But nope. Nick Diaz, and again, guys, I know you're not going to like to hear this. Nick Diaz quit there tonight. Nick Diaz showed up for a check, in my opinion. And it's sad, it's depressing. As a Nick Diaz fan, I have to say it because one of the reasons I started this YouTube channel is because I feel like a lot of MMA media or just MMA personalities, people on YouTube covering it, will talk about guys a certain way because of their fan base. And the Diaz brothers have a cult-like following. And similar to, Sean O'Malley has a cult-like following. Conor McGregor has a cult-like following. Habib Nurmagomedov has a cult-like following. And a lot of people are just biased to that. And then the people who aren't biased will not tell you what they honestly feel because they're scared of pissing people off, and I'm not going to do that. Diaz quit in there tonight. If this was any other fighter, they would be laughed out of the building, potentially cut by the UFC. Imagine if this was in a main event, guys. They would be laughed out of the building. He didn't even take, he wasn't rocked. I know there's a chance he had a broken nose. And that's one excuse I can be okay with, kind of. But to drop to one knee and then go, nah, no thank you, I don't want any more. I've had enough. Robbie Lawler whooped my ass tonight. That just showed me Nick Diaz showed up for a check. Then in the post-fight, he starts making excuses. And I know the Diaz brothers, no matter what, they're going to make excuses. I said before the fight jokingly, if Nick Diaz gets knocked out stone cold, Ben Askren, Jorge Masvidal style, he will say it was an early stoppage. And he was like, I don't even know how this fight got made. Like, Nick, did someone text you last Friday and say, hey, don't forget you got that Robbie Lawler fight next week? You changed the weight class a couple days beforehand, which I think is incredibly unprofessional and unfair to Robbie Lawler. Then you quit mid-fight. Terrible look for the Diaz brothers' name. And again, as a fan, I have to say it. He quit tonight. Nick Diaz quit on us. And I get it. I have sympathy for him because he said multiple times he didn't want to come fight. He didn't want to fight. And that showed tonight. I think he really showed up for a check. I wonder if all his money from his previously big fights with GSP, Anderson Silva, I wonder if he ran out of the cash. I wonder if that's what happened. And he needed the money. He came back. He fought Robbie Lawler. And Robbie Lawler is far past his prime, and I can say that, I can admit that. Even though I love Robbie Lawler, I'm not going to sit here and lie and be biased. He's past his prime, and Robbie Lawler put a beating on him. I predicted for this fight, and again, guys, I went 5 out of 6 tonight, and my breakdowns, I encourage you guys, if you get some time and you haven't already, go check out my predictions for this fight card. They're all just recently posted on the channel. And I called every single fight to an exact T, other than Merab Dvalishvili versus Marlon Moraes, which we'll talk about here in a second. I didn't get all the exact, stoppages. I called all the methods except the main event. I thought the main event would be a late round stoppage. But Nick Diaz, he looked slower than the shadow boxing. He looked like, I felt like I was watching Nick Diaz at 0.5 speed on YouTube. He looked so incredibly slow. The timing looked off. It was just very, very sad to just watch Robbie Lawler go out there and put just an absolute master beating on him. And had it gone 5 rounds, Robbie Lawler would have brutalized him and finished him eventually anyway. But I think had Nick Diaz got brutally KO'd, I think it would have been a better look for him than what happened tonight. And one thing, I hate to harp on this too much. I feel like a chronic complainer tonight. And guys, if you have any questions, comments, put them in the chat. As soon as I'm done going over the card, I'm going to read through the entire chat. We might go in about an hour tonight. And if you guys enjoy these, I'm going to continue to do these live streams, especially after big cards, if you do enjoy them. But Nick, it's just sad to see, man. As a fan, I'm really disappointed. When this fight was originally announced, I thought it was the fight to make. But I was said, this is 2 guys out of their prime. I'm not all that hyped for it. As the fight got closer, it started to creep in, and I just started to get my expectations too high. And it really let me down as an MMA fan, and it really upset me. It was a fun fight, but it was almost depressing. And what I found disturbing, and this is the last, I'm going to move on in a second, guys. I'm sorry. I'll keep continuing talking about this. But the Diaz brothers get so much preferential treatment by the fans that I don't believe anybody's even going to shit on him for this. And I don't necessarily believe he needs to be shit on, but it needs to be talked about at least. We can't just brush over it and pretend like Robbie Lawler finished him. He quit. He essentially verbally tapped tonight. Robbie Lawler beat him with strikes, and he verbally tapped. He asked the referee, please, no more. That's what happened tonight. That's the reality of this situation. And he says, he acted like he wants to come back and fight again. I don't know if the UFC wants to give him another fight. They probably will, just because he'll draw, people on a pay-per-view. But I was incredibly disappointed in this fight. I really, really was, guys. And I'm sure you guys are too. But it just sucks to see, a legend like Nick Diaz really look terrible, and then not only look terrible, to feel like what's crazy is he asked for a 5-round fight. Why did he ask for a 5-round fight if he wasn't even going to show up in shape? And, maybe he was in shape, and maybe just the timing caught up to him. He's been off 6 years. But he looks so slow. And what I want to say is, I feel like we're going to, as fans, and as I think Nick Diaz also, is going to look back on these last 6 years and regret what he did. Because he sat out some of the prime years of his life, drinking, partying, and I feel like it was a real detriment to him. He could have had some fun, big fights. And the Nick Diaz we knew and loved, as far as a fighter standpoint, is gone, guys. And I'm genuinely depressed about this. I really am. It's sad. And just to see him give up on himself tonight, it's just, I feel like it's very shameful to the Diaz brother name, because what are the Diaz brothers known for? Their durability, their unwillingness to quit, their unprecedented, chins, ability to take damage. The Diaz brothers are known for that. And tonight, it was just sad. It was embarrassing. And then to come out and say, I don't even know how this fight got made. I wasn't, he looked, he changes the fight to middleweight the week of the fight. I hate to say it, but any chances, to call out Kamaru Usman and then put on a performance like this, what a joke. And one last thing, to say, I had this coming. He knew he was going to get his ass whooped. So what does that show you? He knew he wasn't in his prime shape. So I'm just, I'm going to move on now. I'm just disgusted. I'm sad. It's just really sad. So next on the fight, we had Curtis Blaydes versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Curtis Blaydes, I predicted him to win by decision. Sure enough, he won by decision. He was able to take Jairzinho Rozenstruik down. Even when he wasn't taking Rozenstruik down, Rozenstruik was having trouble letting his hands go for fear of the takedown. Curtis Blaydes didn't do really too much damage on the ground. He landed some really baby punches on the ground. No real significant ground and pound. Never really coming close to finishing the fight by any means. And I feel like, Curtis Blaydes is who we thought he was. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is who we thought he was. Neither guy will ever contend for a belt. Jairzinho Rozenstruik's only moment was he landed a jumping knee in the first round, hurt Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes' eyes swelled up. I'm not sure if it was from the knee or something else. Jairzinho landed some strikes, but it was a solid 30-27, and Curtis Blaydes just showed his dominant grappling and wrestling. But on the feet, he just looks uncomfortable. He just looks uncomfortable on the feet. And the only reason Jairzinho Rozenstruik couldn't light him up is because he was so fearful of the takedown. And it went pretty much exactly how I thought it would go. The heavyweight division, again, has no depth to it. Let me take a drink real quick, guys. Do me a favor, like the stream. This is how we grow the channel. I greatly appreciate it if you would like the stream, please. But if Curtis Blaydes wants to be competitive at the highest level at heavyweight, he has to work on the striking. I mean, the way I would describe him, and this is such a weird way to describe him, and I said this while I was watching the fight, Curtis Blaydes just looks like he's always at the wrong place at the wrong time. The way he moves, and I feel like he's so susceptible to getting countered, and I feel like that's why he got uppercutted by Derek Lewis. I feel like that's why Francis Ngannou has been able to finish him twice in his career. And I don't think Curtis Blaydes will ever contend for a heavyweight belt, even though the division is very, very shallow. Very, very shallow. And it was a dominant performance over a legit guy in Jairzinho Rozenstruik. But when you start to get to those top guys, he's not going to be able to beat Francis Ngannou. I mean, we've already seen that. He's fought him twice. He probably can beat Derek Lewis. I would pick him to beat Derek Lewis in a rematch, but you never know with the nuclear power. I just don't know where he goes from here. He can take guys down and hold them down. But if they have any type of decent takedown defense and knockout power, I feel like Curtis Blaydes is getting finished by him. So overall, it was what it was. It was probably the least eventful fight on the card. I think it was, yeah. Yeah, this was probably the worst fight on the card. I still enjoyed it, but, nothing to really go crazy about. So let's move on to the fight that opened the card. And guys, I swear, I actually went back after the fight and listened to my prediction video for this, Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. My prediction, I swear, was so accurate. Jessica Andrade is just better in every aspect. And she wades forward, and she puts herself in spots where she's susceptible to being countered. But Calvillo doesn't have the striking or the power to make her pay for that. Andrade was chopping the legs. Andrade was moving forward, throwing power shots, ripping to the body. Eventually catches Calvillo and drops her and finishes her. And it was just a brutal win for Jessica Andrade. But I really gave Calvillo no chance in this fight. Andrade is a top-tier elite women's fighter, one of the best women female fighters on the roster. Obviously, she's probably not top 5. You got Nunes, Valentina, Rose, Wei Li. But Jessica Andrade is in that conversation. She's definitely top 5, 10 pound-for-pound women's fighter. And, Calvillo had nothing for her. And Calvillo been around for a while. She's 35 years old. She's never fought any real legit competition up until now. So the writing was on the wall for this. I think this was what I told you guys I was most confident in. And, I mean, Jessica Andrade just outclassed her. Just moved forward, ate any shots. Cavillo was pumping a jab and landing a few times. But Andrade just ate it, walked forward. I can't even remember the exact finishing sequence. I think it was was it a big right? I wish I could pull it up right now, but I would literally mess up trying to pull it up. And also what's crazy is I'm telling you, the referees are more susceptible to stepping in a little bit earlier and stopping the women's fight. I don't think this was an early stoppage by any means, but compared to some of the men's fights, they jump in quicker. Andrade, I would like to see her move it back down to 115. She has nothing for Valentina Shevchenko. I think she still has a chance to beat a Weili Zhang or a Rose Namajunas. If that second Rose Namajunas fight was 5 rounds between Andrade and Rose, Andrade would have won that fight. The writing was on the wall. The damage was being accumulated by Rose. I think Andrade can still be championship level caliber in the women's strawweight division. And I would like to see her move back down to 115. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to talk about one prelim. I don't want to draw this post-fight out too much. I know it's getting late. It's almost 2 o'clock where I'm at, guys. But I want to talk about Merab Dvalishvili versus Marlon Moraes. And my prediction for this fight, I really thought Marlon was superior everywhere, but the gas tank was the problem. And I thought Marlon would make adjustments. He would know his weakness, and he would conserve his energy, win on the feet, stuff the takedowns, win the first 2 rounds, and then lose the 3rd round and win by 29-28 decision. Marlon, and I said there was a chance. I thought Marlon's striking was so good, and Merab kind of wades into danger a little bit too much, looking to close the distance, initiate the clinch, initiate the takedowns. And I thought he could get caught in the early rounds. And sure enough, Marlon just hits him with a huge punch, starts tracking him down. I thought Merab was out on his feet. Marlon was throwing everything he had, dropped him. Had there been a few more seconds, honestly, the fight might have got stopped. It was so close. He was beating on him. Merab somehow survives. And sure enough, Merab's stamina. He ends up taking Marlon. I can't remember if it was at the end of the 1st round. There's so many fights, I can't even remember what happened now. It's crazy. But I think it was at the end of the 1st round where Marlon really started to get tired. Merab grabbed the takedown and really started to do damage. It was wild because Marlon has some type of, weird thing where he just doesn't like to block. He was eating a lot of ground and pound. He's taken a lot of damage in his last 3 fights. He's been stopped in his last 3 fights. Merab showed the ability. He has a granite chin, and he has the ability to face adversity and pull through. And that's what I loved about it. I really think that this was the tough test that he needed to show that he's an elite bantamweight fighter. And I can't wait to see who he fights next. Maybe we get him against Peter Yan. Maybe he steps in on short notice. I don't think he should, just considering the damage he took tonight. But, I mean, what a fight for Merab and what a win to face the adversity. Marlon Moraes just landed power shots, went for the finish, blew his entire stamina out. Entire stamina. Ends up getting ground and pound and finished. I think it was in the second round. Let me look at the results real quick. Let's see, I'm forgetting already. Yeah, it was second round TKO. Just ground and pounds him, just brutalized him. He's not blocking at all. He's eating heavy elbows. But this was a win. This was the test we needed to see. Merab had not fought anyone of Marlon's caliber, and now Marlon's on a 3-fight losing streak. This was a must win. He went for the finish with everything he had. He was completely gassed at the end of the first round. And I said, oh no. You know, the stamina of Dvalishvili, and now Marlon has gassed himself out. It's over. Huge win. Can't wait to see where he goes to next. And a quality win. Marlon now is on a 3-fight losing streak, 3-fight stoppage streak. It's sad because I really truly believe he's one of the best bantamweights, but he has to get the cardio sorted out. He has to get the cardio sorted out. And I feel like some of those guys just, there's offsets, the power and the strength, it starts to, take a hit when they really start working on the strength and conditioning. But Marlon needs to make some type of adjustments because you can't gas out in the first round and want to, be a champion. You're not going to be able to compete in a 5-round fight. And it's every fight, It's every fight, it seems like. He gasses out and gets finished. He had some success against Rob. That really wasn't him gassing out. He really just got clipped up. But in the Henry Cejudo fight, he was winning the fight and gasses out and gets finished. All right, guys, so I'm going to get to your chat questions. We've already gone 41 minutes for this UFC 266 post-fight. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the conversation now. I'm going to read every single comment you guys had to say. Let's see what you guys had to say. Thank you guys for joining me. Do me a favor. Don't forget to run up the likes on the stream. It really helps grow the channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I greatly appreciate it. Volkanovski just dominant. Thank you for joining me, Ginge, John. Thank you guys for being members. No, I had Volkanovski 48-46. So what rounds did you have Ortega winning? I think Volkanovski won every round. The only round that was up for debate was the 5th round. I'm rewatching Merab versus Marlon for like the 4th time. That fight was insane. 49-46 Volk is what I had. He lost the 5th round. Okay, I can accept that. How you score the main event, I had a 48-46 Volkanovski. Just how Alexander get out from that guillotine. Sheer will. I'm going to move my microphone a little bit, guys. Let me know if there's any problem with the audio. There shouldn't be, but I'm going to move it out of the way. I know we're Ortega's, but he's not. I love Ortega, but he's not made to be champ. I agree. How'd you score the fight? I scored it 50-44, honestly. There was one 10-8 round in there. I would be okay with giving the 5th round to Ortega, though. If Volk didn't slip, that guillotine never happened. I know. And I talked about it in my pre-fight. I said the only way I see Ortega winning is a scramble and a submission, and that's what happened. He almost had it. Volk was turning purple. I thought for sure he had it there. I said, oh, no. Because then, we were getting that rematch. We were definitely getting that rematch. But also, it was kind of an off-balance slip, but he did get caught with a jab as well, which I see somebody said. Okay, he got him punched in the damn face. Yeah, he was off balance. I think he was throwing a kick. I would have to watch it again for 100% sure. But yeah, there was definitely a punch. I gave the first round to Ortega, second and third and fourth to Volk, one of them being 10-8, and then the 5th round went to Ortega easily. I don't know if the 5th, I'm going to have to rewatch it. You're wrong, Ortega took the 5th easily and arguably the first. I'll have to rewatch it, guys. It's just my first time watching it through. I thought Volkanovski won every single round. But the 5th round, I could say was really 50-50 for me. And I was so shocked by the 3rd round, I don't even remember the 5th round all that much. Nick the Quitter Diaz needs to retire for good now because that was pathetic. I agree, man. And you won't hear very many people saying it. You won't hear the media members saying it. You won't hear other people who talk about MMA on YouTube saying it because it's an unpopular opinion. Yeah, Ortega won the 5th, but Volk was coasting at that point. What's up, Torin Brown? And guys, keep submitting the questions. As long as I have questions, I'll continue to go. Honestly, Volkanovski, I'll go about an hour tonight. Honestly, Volk showed that he can compete on the ground, only makes him better. Yeah, he said leading up to this fight, and I didn't know if it was bullshit or not. He said, I am comfortable in this fight against Ortega anywhere the fight goes, whether it be on the ground, Whether, he said, I am very comfortable with my jiu-jitsu, and he showed tonight he is. Because there was multiple times I was screaming, Volk, get out of there. What are you doing? I'm sure some of you guys were doing the same. Honestly, Volk showing, okay, I already read it. I got to disagree, though. I see your point, though. I think he was right not to call it off. Was that about the Ortega fight, Ginge? I'm sorry. I'm a little bit, I wasn't reading these in real time. Pure Dominance, agree. Sorry I'm late. I just got off the phone with my friend who's on the hook with his ex-girlfriend. What's up, Joe? What's going on, Tiramisu? Thank you for being a member of the channel. I greatly appreciate you. By the way, guys, if you want to become a member of the channel, let me show you real quick. You guys get access to these loyalty badges and these custom emojis. You can use the link in the description and sign up to support the channel. It's only a couple dollars. It's literally nothing. If you guys like the channel and you want to support the channel, you guys can become a member by joining there. So I greatly appreciate that as well. And I thank you guys, all of you guys who are members. I greatly appreciate you guys. I post behind the scenes stuff all the time on the members only tab. Volk and Max are so much higher than the rest of the division. They have the hype of moments in rounds, and it's not like he won the round. He won the moment of the round. Yeah, exactly. I'm curious how Giga can compete. I'm on the Chikadze train now. I am on the Giga Chikadze train now. I'm curious how he can compete with, Volkanovski or Max Holloway. Nick should do boxing. Yeah, I see a lot of freak show boxing matches for Nick Diaz in the future. I think that's eventually what happened. I think the UFC will probably give him other fights. But honestly, I don't want to see him again. I want you guys to answer this right now and put parentheses Nick Diaz next to your comment, because by the time I get to it, I'm not going to remember what's going on. Do you want to see Nick Diaz fight again? And if you're watching the replay of this post-fight, please comment that down below. Do you want to see Nick Diaz fight again? That's the question. I need to know. By the way, I called the Valentina fight. You guys all thought there was no chance it goes past the second round, but I was right. Good job, man. Hi, Joe. I was busy tonight. Didn't see any of the fights tonight. Please tell me about all the fights, and please, if you don't mind, my friend. I went through them in depth for you, Adam. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown. I can't believe Volk got out of those submissions. What a fight. One of the best bouts of the year for sure. It was super entertaining. Ortega had the moments, but let me just say again, this fight was not super competitive. It was a dominant performance by Volkanovski. But, again, I was super entertained. One of the best fights just because of the momentum swings alone. But you take away those two submissions attempt from Ortega, and you don't have much. You really don't have much from him. I can't believe, okay, I already read that. Ortega's so durable. I know, man, and he takes so much damage. He's too tough for his own good, honestly. Yeah, Ortega's a real one, unlike Nick. Yeah, if Ortega would have quit after the third round, I had no problem with it. Took far more damage. I think you should only do this for pay-per-view or cards you don't stream. Okay, that's what I'll probably do. This is really known one left at 125, to be honest. She's either been beating them or they're unproven Drew. Joey, thank you for all the detail. I can't wait to watch this fight card. I missed all these fights. I feel bad for you. Disappointed Diaz just laying there. Yeah, I think a lot of people are disappointed tonight, man. It sucks. It sucks. I thought Nick's boxing was good. He had a couple of times he could box. Ugh. But Lawler was fighting in a way that was just perfect for him to land. Lawler was just deep in his face, throwing hundreds of shots. The output from Robbie Lawler was unreal. I feel like Robbie should have stopped him earlier. I think 185, maybe Lawler looked slow and Nick Diaz wanted a payday. Yeah, Nick is definitely past his prime, for sure. Volk and Valentina made up for my Diaz lost money. You should have took my advice and went on Robbie Lawler. Nick was the best 20 years ago when he beat up Fireball Kid Takanori Gomi. Legendary. I knew Nick would lose after all the weird interviews. Nick quit. Very not BMF. Yeah, I don't think Nate would ever do that. I think he quit it, but he is at the end of his career. Why take the shots and stuff? I agree with you. The fact he gave up is what makes me most mad, not that he even lost. It's sad. I totally forgot this was at middleweight. Yep, and it was 5 rounds, too. That's what's crazy. Why did he ask for a 5-round fight if he was going to come in and look like absolute dog shit like this? It really depressed me, man. It really did. I hate to keep harping on it, but it really made me sad. I love Nick Diaz. I love Robbie Lawler, but this was super depressing. He didn't look like he was destroyed to continue. Just saying. I think he's going to say it was a broken nose. I don't know, but it was sad. Anybody else? Imagine if the reason I have to go at Nick Diaz for this. Imagine if this was Conor McGregor. Imagine if this was Aljamain Sterling. Imagine if this was any other fighter. Imagine if this was, Volkanovski tonight. I would be going at them hard. So I'm not going to be like other people just because Nick Diaz is a fan favorite and not say the truth. If this was Conor McGregor, oh my God, I would talk about it just the same. So how am I going to say, you know what? Let me give Nick Diaz a pass. That's what the rest of the media is doing. That's really what the rest of the media is doing. And I'm not going to do that. Look like I might be biased, but give Nick one more fight. If he wants it 6 years, that's a long layup. But yeah, but who's he going to fight? I mean, who's he going to fight? Who do you guys want to see him fight? I don't know who he would fight. Uh, uh, it was easy. Go 5 for 5, all faves. Okay, man. Say what you will. I'm not trying to brag too much, man, but I was just trying to say my predictions were pretty good. I don't even look at odds like that. I'm not a betting man. But I get your point. But watch my prediction videos, Snaggy. Your Marlon prediction was actually spot on, but somehow he survived and then outpaced him. Yeah, I think it was pretty close. I mean, most people picked Nick, which kind of shows the bias, and people agreed. Only casuals choose Nick. Let's face it, if Nick wants another fight, there's Bellator. I don't think the UFC will let him go. He can still sell pay-per-views for them for sure, and I believe that they will put him on another card, and that's what will happen. How did you like the Quitter's Nick's performance? Should he go to Bellator so I could skip his future fights? I was really depressed by it, and I don't think the UFC is going to let him go. I really don't. I really don't think the UFC is going to let him go. Why does my hair look weird right now in this stream? I don't know. I still made money, but it's sad Nick can't fight unless he wants to get beat up. Yeah, I don't know. Uh, didn't even deserve to be on the main card. In all honesty, I would rather Merab versus Marlon be on it, but it's easy to say now. UFC should take all the juice out of Nick by making him fight less marketable fighters. Then they should spit him. It's not like he has any more brain cells left to choose. I don't know what that means. I just hope he doesn't come back, man. I really don't want to see him come back. He's talking about fighting Kamaru Usman. Do you know what Kamaru Usman would do to him? Oh my God. Kamaru Usman would dump him on his head. And if Nick Diaz, mark my words, if Nick Diaz would have won this fight somehow, Kamaru Usman, Ali Abdelaziz, Nick Diaz, they would have all been campaigning for that, and I'd have been sick. I'd have been sick to my stomach, guys. Ah, man. If Nick and Dana didn't have for real, he could have ended up longest reigning light heavyweight champion. Yeah, 155. I don't think so. I mean, 5-year suspension wasn't his problem. Yeah, but he fought that and he got it reduced and he could have came back sooner. Takanori Gomi was number ranked world at the time. He killed him with the Globo Plata. Great fight, legendary fight. I'm so glad Robbie won because if Nick won, they made Usman Nick. I think he would witness the first murder. That's so funny. I was just talking about that. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you. Blaydes did nothing to improve his stock. Agreed 100%. French fries. I think Ortega has heart, but I started to dislike him. He isn't humble. Yeah, he can be annoying a little bit, but you got to respect him. He's super durable. He didn't quit in there at all. I agree it's embarrassing to the Diaz brothers because Nate would eat that lunch like it was a slice of pepperoni pizza. Okay, what do you think about her wanting to go back to 115 and fight for a title? Didn't want the smoke from Valentina. She has nothing for Valentina. She knows it. I think it's the right decision. Hamza Chimaev might have wrecked Nick if that fight. Oh, he would have wrecked Nick. He would have destroyed Nick. I'd rather watch paint dry than Blaydes. Oh no, I lost my spot. Keep the questions coming, guys. I will go for a little over an hour as long as we continue to have questions. Anything you want to know about my thoughts on UFC 266? Thanks for joining me. Also, don't forget, do you guys want me to do these live stream post fights in the future? Is this something you prefer for some of the bigger fights, or you want me to stick to just recording the videos and posting them? I'll always go through the fights and then I'll get to the chat at the end. I don't want to mix it in there. I just want to go give my thoughts on the fights and then go to the chat. Yeah, Blaydes was terrible. The crowd was booing the whole time. Valentina trains in the forest with tennis shoes on, using tree trunks and punching bags. True story. What did you score the fight? Either 50-44 or 49-44, I think it was, or 49-45. I don't know what it would be. It was either Ortega or Volkanovski every round with 1-10-8 round, or Volkanovski every round but the 5th round and a 10-8 round. I don't know what the exact scores would be. But I've only watched it one time and it was just crazy, so it's really hard to score. I was happy to see Ortega getting put up on the stool. Good to see a steroid cheek get hit for 10 more minutes. Uh, Hell of a fight. No. Nick Diaz offers nothing in the UFC, so nobody. No, not in boxing or MMA. Guy doesn't want to be there anymore. I think it's a little sad personally. Uh, Nick versus Cerrone at 170. Volk won, but it was 48-46. Blaydes isn't a bad fighter, as people are saying. He's a great fighter. That's why he wins. I don't know if he's a great fighter. He's not going to be able to compete against world-class heavyweights like Ngannou. Round one of Lawler Diaz sucks. Lawler was holding back on punches going at quarter speed. It was very bizarre. I'm glad you saw that, Hank Hill. I mentioned that earlier in this post fight. It was very, very bizarre. I felt the main event was closer than you did. 48-46 Volkanovski. If it's 48-46, are you giving 2 rounds to Ortega? What are you? I mean, I have to watch it again, but that's crazy, man. I did not give Ortega 2 rounds. 1 and 5. I'm going to have to watch it again. I'll get back to you. We'll do the live chat Wednesday. But I gave him 1 round at best, and that was the 5th round. I didn't even think he definitely did that. Nick needs to go to Bellator so I could skip his fight cards. I read that before, man. That was funny. That was a good one. Yeah, Nick, that's the most... I mean, this card, as excited I am to see Volkanovski's future, you know, the Nick Diaz fight was such a bummer for me, guys. It was such a bummer for me. I don't ever want to see Nick Diaz fight again. That's so sad to say. I just don't want to see him fight again. It's just super depressing. You know, to come out there and just imagine just to quit. I mean, he might as well came out in the first round, just tapped on the ground and say, "I'm done. I don't want no more. I don't want no more." That's it. I mean, he told the referee, "I quit." And any other fighter did that, and they would absolutely get destroyed. In the media, they would get destroyed by the fans. They would be turned on by the fans. They would feel right. Imagine that was the main event and Nick Diaz. Imagine Ortega did that tonight after the second round. That would have been depressing. Guys, if you have any final questions about UFC 266 on this post fight, leave it in the chat. Also, I love asking these questions. Where are you currently watching this post fight from? I'm curious. I like to know where you guys are from. If you already answered it before, just answer it again. Where are you guys watching the post fight from? I'm curious. I'm on the East Coast in Maryland. Be as specific or non-specific as you want. Getting ready to end this stream here in a little bit. We've went through all the fights. It was a crazy night, guys. Issa from Dubai. The Nick fight ruined my night. Dude, I'm with you. I am with you 100%. French fries. What's next for Ortega? I'm going to say about 2 years off again. I want to see Ortega take a long time off. He took a lot of damage tonight. And keep the questions coming, guys. I will stay for about 20 more minutes if you guys have questions. If not, in the next five minutes or so, I'm going to wrap it up. So if you guys have any more questions, just throw them in the chat. For Ortega, I want to see him take a long time off, come back, fight a guy. But I think he's done at featherweight. What's he going to do? Max and Volkanovski are going to be the champion for the foreseeable future, and that's just what it is, honestly. So we will see. It's 10 in the morning in Abu Dhabi. Nick was quitting. I don't know. Can't blame him. He was tired of getting punched. Yeah, but to come out Texas, does Ortega have the heart and strongest chin in the UFC? Probably, man. He's taken some serious damage. But Volk doesn't have that crazy one-punch KO power either. Neither does Max. So it's hard to say too much about it. North Carolina. Joey, I didn't see anything, but I'm sure Merab's battery was in a crazy high-level form. Yeah, it was. It was crazy. I'm in the same time. I'm happy for Robbie won. Maybe they do Blaydes Lewis rematch. I could agree. What does this fight do for Hooker? I don't see the fight as anything meaningful. Nasrat is a journeyman at best, lightweight level. If you make him fight top fighters, agreed 100%. Agreed 100%. Really did nothing for him. I'm happy to see both guys, make weight and get paid. After their controversies, missing the having visa issues and whatnot. But it's just, I mean, it is what it is. Dan Hooker, I don't think he looked anything super impressive tonight. Uh, and I really don't know what else there's to say. Dan Hooker can maybe get another big fight. Now he's got to win, but I don't think he looked particularly impressive in that. We didn't talk about that fight much. He incorporated the wrestling. He's not going to be able to do that against other fighters. Nasrat was landing on his feet a good bit. But I don't know. Maybe what are your thoughts on the bantamweight interim title? I think it makes sense. I don't want to see him strip Aljamain. I get it. I get that people want it. He's not a real champion. He only got the title over DQ, but realistically, he doesn't deserve to be stripped. And I hate to say that, but I got to be honest. Uh, it was Peter Yan's fault. He shouldn't have thrown any illegal technique. And I have no problem with Sandhagen getting the title shot because Sandhagen arguably beat TJ. TJ's injured, said he can't return until 2022. Let me just say this. I don't think anyone beats Peter Yan. I don't think anybody beats Peter Yan. So, Peter Yan will be the interim champion. Aljamain will be the undisputed champion. And if Aljamain Sterling pushes the fight back any further, then early next year he will be stripped. The UFC will strip him of the belt. What are your thoughts? Tell me about the Merab fight. Merab got hurt badly earlier. Marlon emptied the tank going for the finish. I arguably think it could have been stopped at like 1 or 2 points. Marlon completely gassed himself out. Merab, being the absolute cardio machine he is, took him down, ground and pounded him, and just absolutely destroyed him with elbows and finished him in the second round. I went over it a little bit earlier too. UFC, I think Sandhagen, Font, and Aldo are the only three that make sense. Who should fight Yan next month for the interim title since TJ's injured? I put out a video on this, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but you can make the argument for Sean O'Malley makes sense. And hear me out here, guys. I'm only going to make this argument very, very quickly. I don't know if Sandhagen's going to want that fight on short notice. He's going to get wrecked by Peter Yan on short notice. TJ's injured. Jose Aldo already lost to Peter Yan. If they throw Sean O'Malley on the card, two things can happen. Sean O'Malley gets destroyed, but he gets a step up in competition, and he also gets a better contract because the UFC is going to pay him better just because he steps in on short notice. And if he wins, the UFC has a megastar on their hands, and he jumps over everyone. And it's a win-win for the UFC. If he loses, they have a good excuse. But realistically, I think that Sandhagen should step in. But I think whoever steps in loses to Peter Yan. But do you get my point about Sean O'Malley? Do you understand? I'm talking about if Rob Font doesn't want it on short notice, I don't think he's going to want it on short notice. TJ is injured till 2022. Jose Aldo already lost to Yan. Aljamain Sterling isn't fighting, and I don't know if Corey Sandhagen's going to want to take the fight on short notice either. He's going to get wrecked. So it's one of those things. But realistically, I think the most reasonable option is Corey Sandhagen or Rob Font. What's going on, Pitties and STI? Yes, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, Aljamain Sterling pulled out with lingering neck issues. Henry Cejudo should come back. Finally, some decent fighters. Yeah, I don't think he's ever coming back. I'm down for Volk Ortega rematch, but Nick versus Robbie was just sad for me to watch. Nick just looked like he wasn't there. Agree with you 100% about the Nick comment. Why would you want a Volkanovski Ortega rematch, man? I'm not trying to be no type of disrespect here. I'm here to have fun, educated MMA discussion. Ortega got outclassed for at least 4 rounds. I know he had his moments with the submissions, but he got outclassed. I have no desire to see that rematch for the foreseeable future. And even if I did, Ortega needs a serious long time off. Can Aljo retain his belt in any other way than faking an injury? No, he cannot. Not against Yan. His best hope is someone steps in and beats Yan. Joey Font gets the fight. I feel he has a good chance to win the belt. Great live underdog. No way. Font has takedown defense issues, grappling deficiencies, and Yan is probably the best grappler at bantamweight. Volk Ortega rematch is pointless. Volk dominates again. Agreed. If it's Sean, I'm going to lose it. I don't think he would deserve it, but I understand the factors at play that would make it possible. Diaz must want it, the nice paycheck. Imagine how Nate feels. I bet you he's disappointed. Lockport, New York, Hooker fight. It's kind of even on the feet. Hooker was winning on the feet. He mixed in the takedown and grappling. It wasn't anything spectacular. The Hooker fight wasn't. Hooker wins by decision. Really took him down and dominated. Had some good takedowns in that fight. I think Sandhagen after the TJ fight can beat Yan. I don't think so, man. He can be taken down. He can be out grappled, and Yan has some of the best grappling in the game. Um, yeah, O'Malley does sell a lot of pay-per-views. I'm not sure if 267 is going to be a pay-per-view, though. Sean O'Malley versus Dominic Cruz fight to see whose body breaks first. That's hilarious, dude. Did you see the video they posted of Sean O'Malley and Conor McGregor talking, but they didn't have any audio to it? Somebody posted it and said, "What are they talking about?" And somebody responded, "How not to break their legs." I was dying laughing, dude. All right, guys. If you have any final questions, leave them in the chat. If you're not subscribed, guys, the only way to participate in the chat because of trolls, you have to subscribe to the channel. So do me a favor, go subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to grow the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe. But I think there's a chance. I would say there's a 30% chance that we get Sean O'Malley fighting for the bantamweight title. He's campaigning for the fight. So I really think that there's a chance that could happen. I know that sounds crazy. I made a video about it. I would like you guys to go check it out. It's my last uploaded video. Why would anyone at the top bantamweight want to step in to fight Yan on short notice? Exactly my thoughts. I don't think Yan has better grappling than TJ, and Sandhagen did fine against TJ for the most part. I think Yan would out-grapple TJ for sure, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You think Masvidal versus Nick fight is off the table based off tonight? I think so, sadly. I don't know, but sell a lot of pay-per-views. I don't think it's off the table. I don't want to see it. I have no desire to see that fight, but I think there's still a chance it could happen. Guys. Let me look something up real quick so I can tell you. I want to look up the date and to make sure that I got the right date for this. Okay, so real quick, guys. Before I leave here, let me tell you a couple things. Because I've seen this question. You watch Bellator, they need to do interpromotional fights. UFC looks weak at heavier weights. The UFC's never going to do that. They're never going to do that. They're never going to give Bellator any type of legitimacy. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to do that. If they lost, it would ruin them. Plus, they'd give Bellator some clout. If you notice, even when they have former Bellator champions, they sign to the UFC, they don't even say Bellator. They just don't. But also, guys, so Tuesday, I'll be streaming Dana White Contender Series. Wednesday, I'll be doing my weekly live chat. Friday, October 1st, is MVP. Let me just double check. Yeah, Friday is October 1st. Friday is MVP versus Douglas Lima 2. I will be live streaming that. That's the Bellator. I think it's 267. Bellator 267. I'll be streaming that. So Tuesday, I'll be streaming Dana White Contender Series. Wednesday, the live chat. Friday, Bellator 267. I'll be streaming. So, guys, you can catch me there then. I'll do some other videos on any news. Nate Diaz has one fight in his contract. Do you think he leaves or stays? He wants another fight in December. So maybe he's just coming back to fight out his contract. So I think he probably leaves. All right, I'm heading out. Great stream as always. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Noah Turtle. I appreciate it. I am the difference. I just know I missed a lot. What, did you just join the stream? At least you can go back and rewatch it. Did you see all the fights tonight? I go over all my thoughts and then I get to the chat at the end. So guys, on my end, it says there's 18 people in here right now. I need one last answer from you guys. Please, if you do anything for this stream, I know some of you just watch and you don't want to participate in the chat. You just want to listen. I need your answer for this question. I really need to know what I'm doing going on in the future. Do you enjoy me doing these live streams immediately following big events? Do you prefer that? Or do you prefer when I just record a video reaction and then post it after the fact? That's what I need to know. Would you prefer live stream or video? Just answer that. Live stream or video. If you want the recorded video, I just upload the video on the channel. If you prefer the live stream, just say live stream. Let me know that. I would probably only do it after the big cards. If you could please answer that in the chat. Describe this event with one word. fun. I want to say fun, but depressing, but that's not one word. Uh, I'll just say intriguing because it was very, very intriguing, guys. Whether the Nick Diaz, even though he depressed me, it was very intriguing. Uh, let's see. So I'll just say the word intriguing. All right, looks like you guys like the live stream. I know some of you guys have been telling me for a while to do it. Uh, uh, yeah, I think it's fun to really be able to react in real time and then go to the chat. So Tiramisu says live stream. Issa says live stream. Okay, well I'll do some more in the future, especially for the big events. You know, if I'm streaming the card itself, I might just do a post fight reaction. Nick losing like that, you think it lowers the stock of the Diaz Bros? 100%. 100%. Yeah, I'm the difference. Go back and watch the entire video. You'll enjoy it. The first 30, 40 minutes I talk about the entire event. Little perk 30. Yeah, the live streams are key and video. Appreciate you, my friend. Dan Hooker fight wasn't all that great. I mean, the striking was even. Dan Hooker incorporated a lot of wrestling and takedowns. Nice to talk about what just happened. I love the live reactions, but I probably enjoyed the live streams afterwards more. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to discuss it. And also, it's fun. You guys can send super chat donations in the live stream and help support the channel. So that's why I prefer doing the live streams anyway. It's 2:30 where I'm at right now. It's 2:30 a.m. I'm so tired right now. Lil Perk, thank you for joining us. Pities and STI, my man, thank you for joining us. John, thank you for joining us. Okay, I already read that. I missed the Dan Hooker fight. How was it? I already kind of answered that. It wasn't all that great. I wouldn't go back and watch it. Dan Hooker was a wrestler in that fight. That's pretty much it. He was a wrestler. He incorporated some grappling, and he just won the decision. That's pretty much it. The striking was nothing to be super impressed with. A little bit back and forth. Nasrat was winning a little bit on the feet, at some points in time, had his moments. But overall, I think it was a 30. Let me look it up. Yeah, it was unanimous decision. I don't see the scores, though. Yeah, yep. So, what a night. What a night. I felt starved. I felt starved for MMA content just because there hadn't been a big event in so many weeks. You're welcome, Adam. You're welcome for answering your questions, my friend. Thank you for being part of the MMA Joey community. I really greatly appreciate it. I really greatly appreciate it, my friend. Joey, could O'Malley win? No way, shape, or form. I mean, there's always a chance. He's lengthy. He has power. But I don't say. I think he gets grappling destroyed by Peter Yan. Yan would just wreck that leg. So, quick recap before I end the stream. Volkanovski dominates Ortega. Ortega has flashes of brilliance with submissions. The key for Volkanovski was the leg kicks, the striking, the stamina, the output, the volume, and the leg kicks again. Ortega had some flashes. Ortega's super tough, durable, one of the greatest chins I've seen. No quit in him. Valentina's dominator as always. We need to see her fight at Amanda Nunes. Robbie, Lawler, and Nick Diaz are both well past their prime, and I never want to see Nick Diaz fight again, and he quit tonight, and it was super depressing. Blaydes wins, but don't really care all that much about that fight too much. It was okay. And Andrade needs to go to 115, and I believe she can contend for a belt. So there's all my final thoughts. So it looks like we've gone through everything. We've gone about an hour and 15 minutes tonight. Guys, I appreciate you so much for joining me for the live stream. It looks like we're going to be doing more of them in the future. I know Blaydes might not be interesting at all to the public, but his fighting style is the problem for most heavyweights. Yeah, but not against the top guys. Only because heavyweight is our weakest. Yeah, the heavyweight division is the weakest division in the UFC. Max is the only next fight for the Australian rugby guy. Yeah, but Max has to beat Yair Rodriguez next, which I believe he will. But hopefully there's no delay to that fight. That fight happens in November. Remember I said an easy fight for Lawler? Yeah, I thought Lawler was going to TKO him. I thought Lawler was going to TKO him, so. What a night. What a night, guys. So, I think that pretty much does it. This has been my UFC 266 post-fight Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega live stream. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. You don't know how much I appreciate you guys joining me. It's fun to talk about the event immediately following the event. So I appreciate you guys staying up late and hanging out with me to talk about UFC 266. I will see you guys later this week. Remember, Dana White Contender Series Tuesday, live chat Wednesday, Bellator 267 Friday. And I think that pretty much does it, guys. Have a good rest of your night. Guys, get a good night's sleep. And I'll see you in the next video or the next stream or whatever it is. I'm going to bed. So enjoy the rest of your night, guys.